I make video for you now. I make video for you in there. So small. Such a little baby. You just boop, now you're dead. Squish. Squish. Gone forever. Where did you go? You disappeared. There you are. Squish. Now you're gone. You're back. Squish. Now you're gone. But are you really gone? I think you're still there. Wow. Lying in bed on the phone, get up eventually without pressure. Realizing that the pressure wasn't doing anything. I take off the pressure, hoping that not hoping anymore will change things. And maybe it does. But the biggest change is that realizing how little of a causal link there is between the self-imposed suffering or the suffering and the goals, and thinking like, okay, here's the question lately is, if I get all of these things, like let's say it like works, and letting go of attachment to all these things, which it doesn't feel like in the moment while I'm doing it. Like while I'm doing it, I'm not like, let me consciously follow like Buddhist philosophy. But then I like think about it later and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I have like detached from like desire around a lot of these things, just like as a byproduct of the process. Like, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Then there's some things I'm still desperately clinging on to, but then I'm letting go of attachment that I will ever not cling on to those things, which is like a whole like working up every level. And I want to make a video about fractal patterns and of thought, like how self-hatred travels up the levels, but it's not this one. Letting go of attachment in hopes, originally in hopes that it will help you achieve XYZ thing, like wanting to do like extreme sports and travel and have really long hair and have a boyfriend who is like nice to me and also hot, and also I'm attracted to him, and like having enough money not to like be stressed out, and like just being like healthy enough that I'm not like whatever, all the things that I want, thinking about them and being like, if I let go of attachment to them as I'm doing, like by the time I get there, like if I get there or not, will I care? Like, will it be different? Because like what's happening now is like letting go on such a deep, like there's such a core letting go happening that the patterns are still unfolding just as they would have. Like, I see that the letting go doesn't change anything. Because changing, like making it change, there's nothing making it change. There's no like man behind the curtain who's like facilitating. Like, the man behind the curtain leaves and goes to take a nap, and then comes back, and it's like, well, doesn't there's no comes back. It just turns out he wasn't doing anything. Like, that's not what's making this run. And that's like, I think the thing that I was the most terrified of before I started, that is just becoming more and more. Like, once you start accepting it, it gets easier to just keep accepting it more and more and more. And it's like, it is this terrifying thing. Like, who decided I was gonna film this YouTube video? It wasn't me, because who's that? It happened. It just happened because it was part of the pattern. And that doesn't mean that, like, it's not useful to think about, like, causality. It just, like, you know, whether or not there's, like, a me in here doesn't change the fact that, like, people will, like, that there's, like, this idea of, like, being held accountable. Like, accountability. There's still these, like, energy patterns happening. And, like, again, it doesn't change anything. Um, but then, like, I don't know. I guess we'll see if that keeps being true. Like, the more patience that I have for long-term differences in my life, like long-term goals and long-term, like, habit forming that doesn't give immediate reward, the more that, like, I see how habits, like, these slow habits are, like, really useful building blocks of, like, just the muscle memory, like, can change over time. Like, just getting out of bed becomes, like, a routine thing that you don't have to, like, oh my god, am I gonna get out of bed today? You're just like, it's just it becomes a non-issue. Because you're not getting out of bed, like, thinking you have a reason to do it, because you're just not doing, like, you're not thinking about it. It's just like the things that like, the more I let go, the more that it's just like seeing the things that are happening as, like, a continuation of, like, an energy rather than because they were chosen by me, which was always, like, it was always distressing how, like, there was this idea present that, like, what I was doing was chosen by me, and yet so much of what I was doing was counter to, like, what I would choose. Anyway, 8 minutes feels good. I am a big fan of you. I wish I could just boop and just squish you until you were like this big. This big. Mwah.